That means do some trial and error kind of things also. Don't follow only the steps blindly. Okay, so do whatever you want. That even it's a mistake also, no problem. We'll have some learning from that. Okay, in the job we should do like very professionally we need to do. But here while learning ad hoc also is fine. Then first we'll discuss what are the steps we have to provision an instance. Okay, so in order to provision an instance, first step what we need to do is say we need to log into EC2 console we are doing either through IAM or root account access we need to log in. Okay, so which one is recommended? Say either IAM or root.
IAM.
Yeah, better to log in as the IAM itself. The second one is, so we need to go to EC2 in the services, search for the EC2 instances, then launch instances. So we need to launch for the instances. Once we launch those instances, what we need to do is, so we need to choose the name we need to provide. After name, we need to provide so the name is a just a tag. I'll explain what are the purpose of tags. Okay, say everyone knows the hashtags or everyone knows that Twitter, we have the tweet hashtags, right? What is the advantage of using the tagging is we can search or filter the resources. In our scenario, it's an instance. We can search or we can filter the resources by using the tagging. Okay, so better always give the proper tagging, and our companies also will have some tagging mechanisms, and from that we are going to manage those. I've given the name. After giving the name, what we need to choose? So we need to choose the which type of AMI we want. Okay, so what is the meaning of AMI?
Amazon Mission Image.
Amazon Mission Image. So what we can explain for the AMI?
So it
What we
is
can
like a
explain for the
pre-configured operating system.
Yeah, it's a pre-configured OS template. We are going to get it. OS template. We are going to get that. Under that OS template, we are going to manage. Okay, so OS template we are going to manage from from the AWS we can manage, or we can use we can use the one second. What is this MFA is multi-factor authentication. Yeah, so I'm able to log in. So now here we'll go for the EC2. Even we can add that into the favorites also, or from the services also we can log in. Then launch the instance. I'm going to launch the instance. Now I need to provide the names and tags as of now. Name itself is one of the tag we are giving. Okay, so then we need to choose the AMI. Then what we need to search is we need to choose the instance type. So what is the meaning of instance type is that hardware, and we can search the like instance type like CPU, memory, how much we are going to allocate to that instance, we are going to choose. And here we are going to use, so in this we are going to use which type we are using?
T2 micro.
The T2 micro. Okay, so in some regions T3 micro also we can use, and T2 is the hardware type of family, and we are going to use like one CPU, one virtual CPU, and 1 GB RAM we are going to get with this. One CPU and 1 GB RAM we are going to get. Okay, so then we are going to get the key pair also. What is the concept of the key pair is? We are going to get a, passwords are not the best practice to use in the cloud for the security purpose. We are going to use encrypted key pairs. We'll have a public key and private key. Using the crypto kind of encryption mechanisms we can implement, And passwords, everyone can see that passwords, it's risky to use the passwords. Okay, so we have two types of encryption algorithms. We have any idea what are the encryption algorithms we have? So here I'll give the hint. Now can you tell me what are the two types of encryption algorithms we have?
It is a PEM and a PPK.
No, those are the file formats.
Okay. It is RSA and ED.
RSA and ED25519 are the two different encryption algorithms we have. Okay, so among these, which one is older?
RSA.
RSA is the old method, and the new method is ED25519. But for Windows instances which is not supported, ED25519 is not supported. Okay, RSA supports both Windows and Linux. Okay, say Windows and Linux, both it is supported by the RSA. Okay, and file formats wise, we have two file formats. One is .pem file and the second one is .ppk. What is the meaning of .pem file is in the OpenSSH kind of communication, maybe in the Linux we are using OpenSSH communication. For that is going to be supported .pem file. Okay, but we are using PuTTY. Okay, PuTTY is nothing but a SSH client. So over the 22, we are connecting to that remote Linux server. And what is the port? What is the file format it support is PPK. PPK stands for
PuTTY private key.
PuTTY private key is the file format it is supporting. So PuTTY private key is the file format it is supporting. Okay, so I always recommend to download .pem file itself. Okay, so even in the newer method, they're giving .ppk also. And what is the scope of the key pair is within the region. For multiple instances also, we can attach the key pair, same key pair, but that's not a best practice. So that's not one of the best practice. Better to use the
Separate key pairs for
separate key pairs itself. Okay, separate key pairs itself. Okay, so then what we need to do here is I'm downloading PEM. If it is a Linux, even we can download ED25519 also. And coming back to this instance types. Okay, so here if I go for the AMI, by default here we are showing the quick start, right? And even recent also it shows. Okay, so what are the recent we have chosen in this account also it shows. Otherwise, what we can do is we can search that AMIs from the marketplace. Say here in the marketplace, it's showing 0, right? But technically we have more than 6,000 plus AMIs are available. And if it is a marketplace image, what is the problem? So why we can't go to marketplace images? Because
those are not secure, I think.
They're not free tier.
They will charge the money for that.
They're not free tier.
Yeah, those are not because even we can also keep in the marketplace and someone someone uses that AMI, they may charge the money also. So we can charge the money also. Okay, but there should be a proper use case why we need to get that. I'll tell one example. So now here I'll go for SAP. Okay, so then I'm going to search them in the marketplace. I'm going to search. Now here SUSE Linux or Red Hat has given with SAP, and if you take this one, we may need to purchase the SAP and all that setup. You don't need to take care. Already in that image we have that SAP also, and who is the provider of that? SUSE. So SUSE is one of the company, just like Ubuntu or Red Hat, that provides like a Linux kind of systems. They provides the Linux systems, and we are going to get those SUSE Linux we are getting. Okay, so then on top of that, they're providing. If I take this one, not only for the EC2 instance types, even for the AMI also, we need to pay the money. Who will collect from us? Who will collect that money?
Amazon.
Amazon will collect. And to whom they will share that amount also?
With SUSE.
To the SUSE also, they are going to share that amount. Okay, so they're going to share to them itself. Okay, depends upon the requirement. You can choose those also. Okay. In any say like this here, Red Hat also says, suppose you don't want to say, my companies want Red Hat, then Red Hat is available. Okay, different type of versions of SAP, all these we are going to take care. But even when they're uploading that AMI also, like AWS global standards also, they also need to maintain that. They need to maintain that AWS standards. So that's the reason here I'm not going to use the commercial images. Okay, community means mostly AWS or we can also keep as the community, but we don't charge any money for that. Okay, so we don't charge any money. And here quick start is of the community itself, but 40 to 50 images they're showing for us. 40 to 50 images, we are going to get that. Then instance, what is the difference between AMI and instance type? What is the difference between AMI and instance type?
Instance type means the
Instance
capacity.
type, yeah, is the size of the VM or how much CPU, how much RAM we are going to get. All this comes under AMI. Sorry, instance type. AMI is the OS template what we are getting. Do you need to install the OS? Not required. Do you need to set up the database, all those? That's optional. If you choose a clean OS, we need to install database also. I'll tell one example. So now here we have Ubuntu. Okay, so then try to understand that image. Third image, try to understand. What is the third image here? It is having Ubuntu server plus SQL server also. Normally, if I take Ubuntu, what I need to do? If I take Ubuntu, what I need to do? I need to install even the SQL server on the clean Ubuntu. But if I take the AMI with Ubuntu server with SQL server 2022 standard, what is the advantage? What
So
is
it
the
will get
advantage?
pre-configured.
We
Pre-configured.
don't need to install SQL
We don't have to
server
install.
because we don't know how to install SQL server on top of Linux, right? As of now. Okay, then what is the best method? Automatically that AMI itself we are searching. Automatically, if we want SQL server, then we have one more solution. Any idea? I no need to take the instance. I no need to install SQL server or I no need to choose SQL server. We have one more solution for that. What is that? What is that solution we have? What is that solution is we can use the managed services like RDS kind of thing. What is the concept of that RDS? What is the concept of that RDS?
It's a database.
Yeah, database itself is available as a service kind of thing. The database itself is available as a
Service, and then
service. So that is also one of the advantage we can use. So if we take Ubuntu server on top of that with the AMI SQL server, if you take whether that comes under IaaS or PaaS.
IaaS.
IaaS. If I take directly RDS, if I take
SAS,
directly RDS, it's PaaS
software
or
as a
PaaS.
service.
Pass.
It's a PaaS, platform as a service, that is. Okay, it's a platform as a service, which is simple. IaaS is simple or PaaS is simple?
Pass is simple. It is completely
Yeah, PaaS is
managed by
completely managed by cloud
AWS.
itself.
Yeah, cloud.
I hope you got it right.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the AMIs also, all these AMIs we are not creating. Even we can also create our own AMIs. So we can create our own AMIs also. We'll discuss those also. So what are those AMIs also? We'll discuss. Okay, sure. Any doubts on this?
So what is RDS?
RDS is remote desktop service. So in the AWS services, we have RDS, right? So remote desktop service. Say in that service, say EC2 is providing virtual servers. But in RDS, what we are getting is, directly we are getting a database itself, a ready-made database kind of service we are getting. Okay. Any doubts on this? So now once we choose this AMI with all this, say instance types, key pairs. Okay, then very important is we are going to choose the VPC. As of now here, what is this? In the networking, we got one VPC, right? What is that concept is? By default, AWS is providing one default VPC for us. And one subnet also we are choosing. But as of now, we are not keeping in our control. But if you don't choose the VPC also, what is happening? If you don't choose VPC also, what is happening here?
It will take a default.
Yeah, default it is taking. Default VPC, default subnet, and we are getting auto assign public IP also. Here, if I go to editor and if I disable this auto assign public IP, what is going to happen?
So it won't give the IP address, public IP.
Don't give the public IP, right? If I don't have the public IP, what is the problem?
So we cannot connect to the server.
We can't connect over the internet.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but we will get one more IP. What is that?
Private IP.
Private IP. Now, from the AWS wise, what is the difference between a public IP and private IP? So what I'm trying to do is, we already provisioned the instance, right? But we are trying to understand each and every point here. Okay, for the next 30 days, 40 days, keep on provisioning the instance. Even we can discuss EC2 for next 30 days also, we can discuss. Okay, so that's we need to get more expertise on the some of the traditional services like EC2, VPC, because people also using them for the past 8 to 10 years, people are already using. That's the expertise also. We need to get those. Okay, so we need to get that expertise also. We need to retrieve. Okay, so then what is your understanding of firewall security groups? So what is if someone asks about security group, what you will tell?
So it will restrict the access and
Say here that rules we are configuring are those firewall rules what we are configuring are called as security group. Okay. So now as of now in this allow SSH traffic, what is that meaning?
So it will.
It's a Linux instance, right? That is the reason that instance in the inbound rule or outbound rule it need to open.
Inbound rule.
In the inbound rule, it need to open the traffic 22 need to be opened. Okay, if I don't open here in this 22, what is going to happen? If I don't open 22, then what is going to happen?
We cannot have remote access.
Yeah, we can't connect over that to that instance. We can't connect. Okay, so if I don't open that, I can't connect to that instance. Okay, so then what is that meaning of anywhere that we have something, right? 0 dot. What is that your understanding of that?
So that means any IP address.
Yeah.
Like
So that 0.0.0.0/0. I'll explain this in detail in the cider in the VPC. But as of now, keep one shortcut. That is any IP address in the world can be represented with that notation. 0 dot, that means, say here, is this safe or my IP? Say, which is safer?
My IP is safer.
My IP is safe. What is the risk?
If it would
Only from this laptop, or maybe even if my internet also, maybe router restarts, I also lose that IP address. And even I am also not able to connect to that. I'm also not able to connect to that instance. Okay, so that means we need to take care. Otherwise, what we can do in the production is, I can give that IP address of that custom IP also I can give. So here I can give that custom IP address also. If I give the custom, what is going to happen is, like, to whom we need to whitelist, only those IP we are going to provide. Okay, so is it safe to give again this one? Is it safe to give that
no,
one or
Shrikant.
not? No.
I
What is
think we
the
give
risk?
the IP range.
Yeah, definitely we need to give the, like, only custom range itself we need to give. Okay, so that's we need to provide to that. Okay, so these all, like, in the real time we need to take care all these things. But as of now, I'm given anywhere. So what is this meaning of anywhere is, I'm allowing from anywhere in the world. It's risky also. Anywhere is a little risky kind of thing. Okay. Any doubts on this? Any doubts? Then what is this meaning of HTTP? HTTPS is, once we create the instance, okay, so once I create the instance, what I'm doing is, maybe I may set up a web server. What is the purpose of the web server is, like, web server will, say, suppose in your browser, if you type some application, okay, so now I have one product, everyone try to hit nraglobe.com. Okay, so we are developing that product. Okay, so that's a website URL we are typing in the browser. What is the responsibility of the browser is? So browser is nothing but it's a HTTP client. Okay, so then my web server is the server for that. That means who can understand that request is, like, from the browser, if I type any URL, who will understand that is a web server will understand. Okay, then like that page, what it is delivering, what is requesting is going to be delivered. Then what is the meaning of HTTPS? What is the meaning of HTTPS? It's going to add a security. So previously we have the SSL kind of certificates. Now we have TLS, which is an enhanced version of SSL kind of certificates. Everyone knows, right? When we access the website and when we are providing, we'll check the lock symbol or not. So a small SSL kind of lock symbol will get it right on that website. What is that meaning? If I
Secured.
don't get that, yeah, we have the certificate, but we'll discuss more deep about that, how the TLS works and SSL works. That's also we required. But if I have a web server, then I need to open HTTP traffic. Okay, so if I have HTTPS, then I need to open this one also. As of now, why we are not opening is, we don't have any web server. If I don't open these port numbers, what is going to happen?
So it won't
Yeah, my
connect.
website doesn't work. Okay, I hope you got it right.
Yeah.
So like this here depends upon our requirement. We need to choose it. Okay, so then after this, we need to go for storage. So now here, if I'm accessing storage, means in the backend which service I'm using. In the networking, I use the VPC. Here, which service I'm going to use?
EBS.
EBS. EBS stands for
Elastic Block Storage.
Elastic Block Storage. So we are going to get the EBS block storage, and how much we are getting here?
8 GB.
8 GB. Okay, for Linux, it's 8 GB may be enough. but even this is also try to increase. And what is that meaning of GP3? What is that meaning of GP3?
General
Yeah,
purpose.
it's general purpose. So previously we have GP2, GP3, and in the provision we have IO1, IO2 we have. Okay, then we have magnetic also, we have one more, but that 30 GB of the free space is available in the 30 GB of the free space is available in
Free time.
yeah, in the general purpose or magnetic only. They're not giving for provision. Okay, so now here, what is the meaning of? Okay, so now here we have one important term is there. What is the meaning of IOPS? What is the meaning of IOPS here?
Input and output
Input and output per,
service.
not per service.
Okay. Input and output
Output
second.
per second. Normally, even here, this if I have more IOPS, my performance is good. Okay, so if I have more IOPS, okay, so my performance is
Good.
good. Okay, if I have less IOPS,
Performance is weak.
performance is weak. Then in the production servers, we need to give more IOPS we need to provide. So more IOPS we need to provide. Okay, so then more read and write operations are going to happen. Now here, like input and output operations per second. So what is the meaning of IOPS? Input and output operations, and that means is nothing but number of read and write operations are going to happen. I'll tell one example of use case. Have gone through at any time DVD writer, because DVD writer is a very old kind of computer device. So that means previously we have CDs, DVDs, right? Instead of USB pen drives. Before that, we have the DVD writer. While writing the DVD, we can give the speed, like maybe 4x or 16x or 64x like that. If I give more speed, what is the advantage? What is the
It will take
advantage?
less time, sir. It will
It
take
takes
less
less
time.
time. But risk is, so always when I used to write, I don't give 64 read and write operations per second. That need to rotate very fastly. In that there is a chance of the DVD maybe breaks. Okay, so that means it need to rotate very fastly. Okay, so I'm just trying to explain, if more read operations or write operations we have, like we can perform that very fastly, we can do, but it's a little expensive in the AWS. Okay, but if you have the more IOPS for the production service is recommended or not? Okay, so definitely when I want to perform the database kind of operations, say suppose Azure will take an example. Everyone are using maybe Flipkart kind of product. Everyone need to see that all the products it need to search from the database and need to retrieve for us, right? So even that is the reading kind of operation is happening, and if you add something that orders, all those will write also into the database. That means read and write operations are happening or not? If I have less IOPS, what is the problem to you as an end user? Like user need to wait for more period. Okay, so then throughput is nothing but, I hope everyone are using internet, right? Then you'll ask the plan, right? What is the plan? 100 Mbps or 200 Mbps? What is that meaning? Like amount of data that can be transferred per
Second.
second. Okay, IOPS are?
So input and
Those
output.
are the disk and like read and write operations are happening on the disk. Okay, I hope you're able to understand, right? What is the difference between IOPS and throughput? In the internet, what you are getting is either IOPS or throughput.
A throughput.
It's the throughput. Okay, then like we have the SSD. So here SSD is nothing but solid state drivers. Okay, so what is SSD means solid state drivers. It's just like a hard disk kind of things. So we are going to get those SSD like is a type of device. Okay, say it's not a HDD kind of thing. So magnetic we have, right? That is a hard disk drive. Okay, but SSD is very fastly and more reliable also. And here we are going to get that kind of from the EBS volume we are getting. And magnetic is not SSD based. Okay, say GP2, GP3, IO1, IO2, these are SSD type. Okay, so which will have high high performance is SSD itself and more IOPS also. And like a little expensive kind of things, but better to go for that itself in that AWS. So SSD stands for solid state drivers and HDD stands for hard disk kind of drivers. So mostly we are using for the dev and QA environments, you suggest to go for GP3. For the production, better to go for IO2. IO2. With the IO2, what is the advantage? Obviously, we'll get more IOPS and more throughput we can get it. That's the reason they're not giving it free of cost. Okay, so now here try to understand. Here, if I go to advanced, okay, so in the advanced, in this, I given 10 GB and GP3 I use. How much IOPS I'm getting here? If I use GP2, only 100 I'm getting by default, but I can give till 3000. But if I use GP3 by default itself, I'm getting 3000. If I go for IO2, that's by default we are getting
10,000.
But it can be scalable also, but for that AWS will
That's
charge
minimum.
the money. AWS will charge the money for that. Okay, so AWS will charge the money for that. And so what is this here? We have one more option, try to understand. Delete on termination. By default, what is the option we have?
So if the instance is deleted, then definitely.
Yeah, then the DBS volume also is getting
deleted.
No, I don't want to delete like that. Then what we need to keep?
We need to keep no.
No. What is that? What is the advantage?
So even though the services get deleted,
Even if the instance got deleted also,
through blockage we can retrieve it back.
Yes. What is the disadvantage?
We'll get charged for this.
Yeah, charge for that. Even like for the DBS volume also, we need to pay the
payment.
Yeah. Okay. So then, like for the production servers, better to enable this also. In the worst case, even that instance got terminated also, at least we'll have the EBS volume. EBS volume we can have. Okay. So then here we have one more very, very important. So this is encrypted or not encrypted. Okay. So now try to understand here. This is an EC2 instance. Okay. Then between the EBS volume, the data transfer is going to happen. Okay, so that's they may have some fiber channel or optical cables or fiber channels. Okay, so like this we have, say normal even in the HDD also what we have is between your motherboard and hard disk, there would be a SATA cable, right? If you have computer basic hardware knowledge, then there would be a SATA cable. Okay,
Yes, sir.
that will come in the red color ones, like a SATA cable will come. Okay, so that data is travel over that cable. Previous SATA, we have ID cables also. But here in the SSD, we have the huge storage is there. By default, the data should be encrypted or not encrypted. So what is the risk is, if someone keep the bug in that cable, they can get that data. But that is almost That is almost impossible in AWS data center. But as per our company policy, what is the mandatory rule most of the companies having is, what is the mandatory rule we have?
To keep the encrypted.
Yeah, so it should be encrypted we need to set up. If we don't have that encryption, lot of companies doesn't accept also that instance, and they have that guidelines also. Means most of the companies have that kind of guidelines. Without having the encryption, they don't accept also that instances. They don't accept also those instances. Here encryption enabling, this is very easy, right? But here there would be one problem in the real time, I'll tell you. I created an instance maybe 2 years back. I don't have that much knowledge on the encryption. I kept like it's not encrypted. But today my company policy is all the servers should have that encryption is mandatory. So at the new instance, it's straightforward, right? What we can do? Go to advanced options, choose encrypted, and choose any of the KMS. Maybe like by default, we'll use AWS itself will provide, but even we can create our own customer key also. But this is, I'll explain this. What is that KMS key? It's key managed system. AWS itself is providing one KMS key also. That is for the EC2 instance we got, but this is for the encryption. This is happening. So when you create the instance in your real time, whether you will go with encrypted or not encrypted. Whether you will go with the encrypted or not encrypted.
Encrypted.
Encrypted is mandatory. But here for the new instance, it's very easy. What about older instances? So what is the solution we have is, we can enable for those also. That's we'll discuss. That means maybe long back I created an instance that doesn't have the encryption, but I can't delete that and I can't create a new instance because I have a lot of data with that. What are the different techniques we have, how to enable that encryption also we'll discuss. Okay. So then there is, they have added one volume initialization. This is the new feature. I'll explain this. Okay. So that means new features also they would be keep on adding. Okay. So that's we'll discuss. Then here finally we have a lot of advanced options also, right? And in the advanced options, okay, I'll explain as of now important one. What is this meaning of termination protection? If I enable, what is this meaning is, if someone accidentally terminated an instance also, it won't terminate. Okay, so what is the risk? Say I have a production server. What is the user done is he deleted an instance, but instead of selecting his instance, he selected production instance. Okay, that's an accidental deletion. But if I enable this setting, what is going to happen?
You won't able to terminate.
It won't safe or not our servers.
Safe.
So that's the reason in order to accidentally terminate that separate termination protection, we need to enable. That's the reason here we are enabling this. Okay. And even for the protection, better to enable stop protection also. What is the concept of stop protection?
So
the production servers even getting stop or getting restarted also in the like business hours is very risky for the business continuity. Okay, so that is also one of the reason, even for the production servers, better to enable stop protection. Okay, and what is the meaning of CloudWatch? What is the meaning of CloudWatch?
That means monitoring.
So it's for the monitoring of that, right? By default, we are not getting detailed monitoring, but some basic information we'll get. That means there are two types of monitoring we have. But by default, what we are getting is we are getting basic monitoring. We are getting. If we don't configure anything, also by default we are getting basic monitoring. Okay, but here if I enable detailed monitoring, I'll get more detailed information. But here, what is the thing is, AWS will charge the money. Here, additional charges will apply for that. Okay, so here we have a lot of settings. I explained today 3 settings for you. One is termination protection. Second one, stop protection. Detailed CloudWatch monitoring. Even we'll discuss these all like credit specification, placement group, bandwidth, purchasing options. Okay, so even we can choose the spot instances. All these also we'll discuss going forward. Okay, so any doubts on these options what we have discussed? So because by tomorrow or day after tomorrow, everyone should be very casually should able to connect to that instances. To create the instance or to connect the instances, okay, you are not joined this session. These all like self-explore kind of things. It's not a big thing to connect and to manage these all. Already millions of people are already done. Okay, so there are a lot of advanced things. To discuss that, we have this session. Since don't worry about that instance connection, all those are very, very basic stuff. Okay. Yeah, any doubts on this?
Shrikant, I have a question.
Yeah,
So
please.
if we now we have created instances.
Yeah.
So now we are using as a lab purpose, right, for this. So if we stop the instances, does it get charged?
Yes, sir. Even if you stop the instance also, for the EBS volume, it would be chargeable.
Not for EBS, for the
For the
EBS.
computing and this, they're not going to charge.
Okay.
But that's the reason better to terminate as of now.
Okay.
So in some of the companies are automating also in non-business hours that some of the companies are terminating and again morning they're creating the new instances. Some
Okay.
companies are doing just shutting down and in the morning they will power on that.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
so like this also we can reduce the cost. But you can tell you have most of the instances which are running 24/7 kind of thing.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, sure. Any other doubts? So first, everyone should able to connect to that instances. Okay, by default, are we getting basic monitoring or detailed monitoring?
Basic monitoring.
Basic monitoring. Even after you create, also we can enable that settings. No issues.
Okay.
Not only starting itself, we need to enable. Later also, we can enable those settings. Okay. Yeah, any other doubts? So now, if it is Windows instance, like we need to open in the firewall, core edition, don't choose. Okay, what is the problem with the core is you don't get any GUI kind of things. We don't get any GUI kind of capabilities. Okay, say then what is the EBS volume minimum is required is 30 GB. So 20 GB is used for the Windows itself. And additionally, there is a concept called as virtual memory. For that virtual memory, minimum 10 GB of the storage is required. Minimum 10 GB of the storage is required. So that is the reason we are going to keep 30 GB of the storage. We are going to keep it. Okay. So then in the security group, so which port we need to open?
For SSH 22.
No, for Windows.
For Windows 3389.
3389. For RDP, we need to open. Okay. And when we create the instance, we have already seen we got a public IP and we got a private IP. Okay. We got a public IP and we got the private IP. Okay. Then there is one. What is the difference between public IP and private IP? Can you explain?
Public IP we use to connect for internet,
Yep.
and private IP we connect within the
Within the
server.
VPC only, it's available.
Yeah,
From the outside, it's not possible.
not possible. We can connect
Okay. Public
through.
IP over the internet also we can connect.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there is one more concept is there called as elastic IP. So what is the concept of the elastic IP is? Okay. So what is the concept of the elastic IP is? So now by default we are getting one public IP. Okay. So that public IP is dynamic. What is the concept of dynamic is if we restart or shut down the instance, there is no guarantee we will get the same IP. Okay. So I'm talking about public IP or private IP?
Public IP.
Public IP. That public IP is like the public IP is the dynamic kind of thing. Okay. But what is the risk is my IP maybe keep on changing. I don't want that kind of concept. Then AWS has given one solution that's called as static IP. That's called as
Static IP.
static IP. In the static IP, what we can do is we are getting a static public IP to the instance. And if you attach that elastic IP to the instance, it's going to be like fixed that even if you shut down the instance or if you restart the instance also, it won't
Okay.
modify. It won't modify. That is the main advantage of using. That is the main advantage of using
Static public IP.
static public IPs we can use. Okay. So any doubts on this?
Is it a service that we have to
No,
enable
no, no,
while
no, no, no.
using
We
the?
just can attach, say, suppose here if we go for this EC2 instance, once we create the instance, we'll get that public IP. Elastic
Yes.
IPs, we can get that. I'll show this also. We can maybe based on the client requirement, we are going to attach. What is the problem by default? What is the public IP we are getting? What is the problem we have?
Every time we shut, we
Yeah, if
stop
we
it,
shut down or restart,
it will create a new IP.
yeah,
It
it's
won't be
going
the
to
same
create
IP.
a new IP is getting created. Okay, it's getting the new IP is getting created. Okay, so that's we need to restrict that one. Okay, so how to connect it to Linux instance again? I'll revise. If you have doubt, just go through that video also. So how we can connect to Linux instances? Like first we need to have the public IP. Then we have the username. Then we need a .pem file. These are all the three we required. Okay, public IP is provided by AWS. And what is the username for this? What is the username?
Easy to use.
Yeah, so that depends upon the flavor. For
Like
Ubuntu, it's Ubuntu itself. For Amazon Linux,
it's easy to use.
EC2-user is the username. And maybe for Red Hat also,
Same.
so EC2-user itself. For Debian itself. CentOS, sometimes we have EC2-user, sometimes CentOS also is there. Okay, so it depends upon that requirement. We need to provide, we need to provide that mm, uh, which one we want to access, that we need to provide that username. Then that PEM file in the Linux to Linux we can connect. Okay, but what we need to use is that PEM file we are going to convert into PPK because we are connecting through PuTTY. Okay, then that's prompt for the IP address, username, that's we need to enter. Okay, and if we want to connect it to Windows, we no need of PuTTY software. We are using RDP and we can type mstsc command on your run. So now here if you go to run, okay, so we can type mstsc, we can type. In this is the remote desktop client. In that remote desktop client, what we need to open is
Public IP.
yeah, public IP we need to open. Okay, so then it asks for the username and password. Username and password. Okay, username by default is
Administrator.
administrator and password by default we are not getting. We need to submit
PEM file.
our PEM file. Then AWS will provide
Password.
password for us. So using that password, we can connect it to RDP. Okay, so then we can connect to that through the RDP. We are going to connect. Okay, yeah. Any doubts on this? Yeah, any doubts? So then in the next session, we'll deploy the web servers on top of that. Okay, what is the meaning of web server is, web server will have the capability of understanding the web request either from the browser or application, and it delivers that static content. Static content means it's not keep on changing frequently. Okay, so if you have a business logic, say suppose I'll ask one question. If you go to YouTube, what is the videos are getting is static or dynamic?
Dynamic.
Dynamic, it's a dynamic kind of thing because for every user we are not showing like YouTube algorithm doesn't show the same videos. Okay, but if I have my website, I have static video. That's maybe clouds of demo I kept for everyone. Then it's a static kind of thing. Everyone can see the same video. So web servers works with static content or dynamic content.
Dynamics.
Static.
No. Web servers work with the static kind of content. Application servers will work dynamically, where our business logic is running. Okay, so web servers will have the capability to deliver. Web servers will have the capability to deliver
Same content.
a static web content. Static web
Web content.
content to every user. We don't have any business logic or no application logic, no database connections are happening. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any doubts on this? Okay. So then like in the next session, we'll install those web servers also. Okay. So on both on Linux and Windows, we'll install those things. Okay. Sure. Any doubts before stopping?